All right, I have got to show this game I played earlier this morning, right after church. Excuse me. Um, got my tea here with me, and man, it was a great game. By the way, it's my fire alarm you're hearing up there that needs to get replaced, and hopefully I can do that soon. Um, but I wanted to really just show this awesome game I played. I'm playing as black here, and so we start with a queen pawn opening, king standard stuff. There's that move right there, and whenever I see that move, I just kind of go, you know, the best move is bishop right here, but I'm gonna basically just go ahead and take advantage of the fact that he leaves the pawn out here by himself, and just go ahead and attack the pawn whenever I see that move, and then the standard defense of the pawn, kind of thing. Then I'm gonna go ahead and bring my bishop out at this point in the game. Kind of standard opening stuff right here. Okay, grabbing some control over that. So for a moment, I kind of stood here and I went, okay, what's something I can do here? There's there's E6 right here, and there is knight. Just getting a knight out here just for the sake of getting him out. It's always good, just developing. It's a nice spot right there. It's a good outpost for him. Um, so, ideas, but I decided, you know what, I can go for that rook really early here. So, let's go for that. And then, yeah, so there's letting the rook fall, right there. So, because, once I go here, it's a fork on the king and the rook, and the bishop's guarding the knight, so the queen can't take. And there you go. So pretty early in the game, you've already lost the rook. It's pretty bad. And then there's this check, and I've seen these intermediate guys do this constantly, just these checks, and I don't understand them. It doesn't really do anything because all I'm going to do is that, and there you go. So, all right, knight moves out. Okay, that's fine. I'm thinking about seeing if I can try to salvage this knight. What I could have too. I could just move it right there. I forgot that the bishop was still guarding that square, so my bad. But anyways, we're going to develop our knight anyway. All good and dandy. The game gives white some points here because I did just go ahead and leave this knight. But I figured, you know what? Okay, that's an okay sacrifice. I gave up the knight for a rook, so I'm just going to continue while he's just going after a knight sitting in the corner over there. I'm just going to continue to try to see if I can win tempo here, essentially. And so this move right here is primarily to get this bishop out and on this diagonal. That's the general idea, but that has to get delayed because I lose my last knight to take his knight. But we're still in really good shape. We have a knight, a rook, and we are up a pawn. So it's okay if we've lost our horses in this game here. So we're in solid shape right now. We're in really good shape. Towards the end, it does get a little bit interesting, but we managed to make it. Um, so there's that bishop move right there, and you're looking down at this. My bishop is currently guarding that, but I'm planning on moving my bishop, as you can see right there, and that is something I overlooked. But I just wanted to get my bishop out. I'm not sure what that was doing, to be honest with you. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and not pay attention to that. My plan here is just get my queen here and just go for a check and just see if I can force his king somewhere that would be beneficial to me. Um, and then there's that queen move right there. I don't know what that's doing, so I'm just gonna go for check anyway. There we go, and take out that weak pawn. Check again, and I think my idea here was that I was planning to eventually go right here to then take this, but what I forgot was the my rooks aren't connected right now. So before I continue with that, I'm going to need to do that. But that happens first, and so I'm like, whoops, got to save the rook, and there you go. So now I'm getting ready to connect my rook so that then I can maybe think about pushing up right here, attack the queen, and force that queen away, so that I can, deliver some nasty stuff off to this side right here. Unfortunately, though, because I want to try and do like a pretty nice mate here, I guess just right here, and then right there, that'd be mate. But I wanted to get this bishop somewhere on this diagonal here. It would have been really powerful, given that he's got a lot of pieces over here that are kind of creating this wall that his king cannot get around. It's very awkward, not a good formation. It's one of the reasons why White is in a losing situation right now. But it was just I just didn't see a way that I could really just get this bishop out, and then over here and then over there. It's just too much work, and that's going to just give my opponent way too much time to basically recuperate himself. And I don't want to do that. So it's just kind of the way it is. We're going to have to work with what we got. So, all right, check again. And the idea here was both to save my bishop from the knight, but then also to do this. So if he takes, I take back with the queen, and then now I just need to basically chase off this queen, and then I can mate him right here with my queen right there. So he does take, I take back, and I, um, again, I'm only really gonna be, I can only really talk about what I was thinking in this game, not so much about what he was thinking because I don't know what that's doing. So yeah, there you go. But my move was. Trying to remember exactly how it went. Was it to eventually do uh, and then take and then chase off the queen? Uh, Excuse me. Trying to think what it was. It's I don't remember exactly how it was, but that's kind of the general idea. My idea was to discover attack on the queen. This move is bad, but what it also does, it does do something for white that you're going to see here. It allows this. So this my opponent knows that if one bad mistake, one bad move is going to get mated because my queen is looking right at d2, protected by the b4 bishop, dark square bishop, and that's going to be just mate. And so this is also, by the way, before I completely continue, by this point in the game, I have a plan. I know what I want to do. I know I have the checkmate essentially in vision. And that's always a good thing. You want to have that. Now, you do want to be careful that you aren't completely miscalculating something. And that happens. That's happened to me plenty of times. But I do have a plan. I've got it visualized. The idea that I want is I want to mate him. Whoops. I want to mate him on this square right here. But I have to get rid of the queen first. The queen is going to ruin all of that. And so what I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to clear the way here with rooks connected like this. The queen is forced to run off, and then I can go ahead and mate him right there. However, with this rook move, it complicates the issue because this rook is now protecting that square. So even if I did chase off the queen, this I still couldn't do mate right here. Um, so we go for this, and the queen does move, but again, it's still not a mate. So we've took care of one problem. However, this we can still got another problem right here, which is this, and it's a check on my king. That's something I didn't want, and so I decided to defend the pawn. Not something I wanted to do, but it's what I felt like I should do. Um, and then maybe push that pawn up to basically close that off, and then I could try and think about, I do have to be watchful of this bishop right here. It's a pretty active bishop. I was also thinking about maybe just going ahead and see if I can just get rid of that bishop. It is trapped, so there's a potential to do that. But well, not anymore. But excuse me. So all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get this. The game didn't like this move, but it is what it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and just get this move ready. See what I can if I can continue on with the plan, the idea. I was thinking about maybe just going to check, but I just really didn't see what that would benefit me. Um, the bishop here is hanging. Yes, it's hanging, but the big issue here is I just think for white, um, there's a let's see here. Oops. B1. What's B1? Uh, nope, wrong one. Uh, okay, so it's saying to go B1 right here. Boop, boop, and then anyways, just some theory stuff like that. But I just decided, because I would like to do, I don't know, something like right here or maybe. But if I do that though, then the king's gonna get away off over here, and so I just ultimately decided not to go for that. So like I said, this move right here, I could have defended with the rook on c4. It's something I overlooked. I forgot. I tend to forget about pins because I was thinking about, oh, the knight could take my rook, but I was like, oh wait, no, the knight's. Now I'm thinking about it in hindsight, the knight is pinned to the king, so you couldn't be able to do it anyway. So I just defended the bishop with the pawn right here. But he continues to attack because he understands what I want to do. I think he like it's pretty obvious, right? He knows what I want. He knows I want mate right here. He knows I'm trying to chase off his queen so that I can mate him right here. But I also still have this rook that I got to deal with. Um, so he's going to go ahead and he's going to try and remove the chance of me doing a checkmate by taking out this bishop. However, I thought when I looked at this for a moment, I thought, you know what? I still have a lot of options here. There's still a mate, even if this bishop is gone. So if he takes right here, I take back, and then immediately his queen has to run off because the rook's looking right at the queen and to discover attack. Rooks are connected, and so he has to move his queen, and so that's not going to be good for him either way. The only safe spot for his queen really is going to be right there, and she's not going to be terribly active right there. Um, so I decided to just go ahead and, you want to take my bishop? Go ahead and take my bishop. Let him fall. And not only that, but this rook's going to be clear off over here. So I'm going to push this pawn up. And the idea here is if he doesn't take, I'll just take the bishop. If he does take, I take out this pawn, and then I got this guarded right here. And so it's and I can also just thought about this. I could also push the pawn forward and then check the king. If the king comes in or the rook comes to try and take, we can figure stuff out from there. But that'd be the general idea here. That's kind of my idea. So he does take a check. Now this I did not see. I overlooked this because my idea is that if he takes, I'll just take back, and then boom, the rook's staring at the queen, and then the queen has to move right there. But what I forgot was my king is on the same line as this bishop right here. So he checked and then checked again. So I wasn't able to actually do that. So I had to move my king. Now, at this point in the game, I thought to myself, where should I move my king? So should I, I don't want to move him right here because then he's just going to come under a relentless attack from the pawns right here. Boom, and then there's that, but and I could take it. But the big problem with all that, then I can get checked right here, and it's just not going to be fun for me. My king's going to be constantly in check, and that's what he wants to. He wants to check me right now so that I can't continue with the obvious plan, the obvious mate. He's trying desperately to avoid mate right now, which is pretty much inevitable at this point. So, so he's just kind of trying to throw haymakers at me. I decided to just go ahead and drop my king just right here. He could check me, and I can just go down right here if I wanted to, and then there's really no threat anymore. But he's trying to get his king out of there, which is not going to work out very well for him. So I go ahead with this. Now the king is basically trapped right here. The only place he can go is right there. He can't move anywhere else. So if I click on the king, see that he's got nowhere else he can go. This is covered. This is covered. This is covered. That's the idea. That was the idea for me taking that pawn right there. Either take the pawn or take the bishop. If he didn't take my bishop, I'll take his bishop. If he doesn't take my bishop, I'll take the pawn, and then I guard this square so he can't get away over that way. So it's just further tightening the screws. And then this move right here. This is a defensive move. Now that the knight's not pinned, this is a defensive move. So I can no longer. I can't check right here because the knight will take my queen. I can't. I can check right there if I wanted to, but checking with the rook right here, I lose the rook to the knight right there. However, there's also this idea, and this is when I looked at this from when I thought, oh, I think I know what to. I see it now, and this is really part of what chess is. So just really quickly, when I watch chess games, something I notice about players around my range, who are kind of like in the 1100s, 1200s, sort of intermediate range. One thing I noticed that at least I see that they don't really see, and I guess that gives me a bit of an advantage over most chess players. I see a lot of them really unwilling to. They don't think very far ahead. There's no plan going on in their brains. A lot of them are just kind of like, this looks like a no good idea. I don't really know what to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and boom right here. And maybe I'll show you a couple of those in this game here. I think it was this one. I might show you a couple of these examples of this. Again, the idea here is there's no real plan going on. There's no thought process about like what we want to do. There's really none of that kind of stuff. And so what ends up happening, what I see constantly, I like to watch the intermediate guys. I learn a lot from watching them. But what I see constantly is just like we're just kind of like trying to save our pieces, and we have to recognize is sometimes you have to give up pieces in order to win the game. Sacrifices. Then the best time for sacrifice is especially when you have a game plan and you're visualizing everything. You can see it clearly. And so when you're at that level of the game, it becomes sort of like easy for you to see this stuff and then know, oh, this sacrifice is absolutely worth it. Now that being said, what I want to note here is that here's a knight, here are rooks right here. A rook is worth, I believe, 5 points, 5 or 6 points. A knight is worth 3 points. That makes rooks obviously more valuable than knights. Now it's not just the points thing. They don't just give them points because we're just going to give them this amount of points. It really is about pieces with strengths and weaknesses. Rooks are very valuable, very powerful pieces, and they're very interesting pieces too because they become powerful more so as the game progresses than in the beginning of the game. In the beginning of the game, they're always stuck in these corners right here, and can't go anywhere. And even in the middle games, I mean the openings and in the middle games, where there's still many pieces on the board, they're not very maneuverable as bishops are. However, when the board begins to clear out, as you see right here, the rooks become much more powerful and even more powerful than bishops, and that's why they're very, very valuable. That's why you try not to throw them away or lose them at the beginning of the game. Like this game would have gone very differently if that guy did not give up that rook in the very opening of the game. Might have been a very different game for me. So rooks obviously are way more powerful. They're the second most powerful pieces behind the queens. And some people have said basically two rooks equal a queen. So, so you typically when you're thinking about trades, you therefore are not you typically don't trade a rook for a knight. If I said that correctly. But chess is a game of nuances, and so there are always, you know, there's always just nuances to the game, and there are times where you do violate the essential norms, and that's where again most of the intermediate players don't see this kind of stuff. They would never have seen that right there. That's the move I made. Because like I said, I was staring at this and I'm going, what do I do? How do I fix this? How do I not let this king get away? And I saw it, and it was boom right there. It was this move, check on A1, knowingly giving up a rook. It's just not just giving it, it's hanging the rook. It's just a hung rook. There's no defenders of it. Just gave it straight up for the knight. And now white has no choice but to take the rook because the king can't go anywhere. The king is out of options. It can't move anywhere over here. It can't move anywhere right there. Queen is staring down at that. He's looking up at that. There's nowhere for the king to go as he's in check. So you can only take with the knight. But as you take that, that's when the real problem happens, and there's checkmate right there. So what you see here, what I did in this game, and I'm not trying to just gloat in myself, even though I am very proud of myself for that move. When it happened, I was like, oh man, I just couldn't help but like celebrate out in the open. I was like, oh yes, oh that's a perfect mate. Ah, as Levy would say, sacrifices the rook. So so I gave up the rook. I gave up that rook to get the mate right there. And so this is an example here of giving up a valuable piece as a rook to something like a knight in order to win the game. Those are things that are really important. Like if like when you know that you are growing as a chess player when you're able to see stuff like that, when you're able to go, when you look at it, like if you look at this move right here and you go trying to mate him, but I can't check him with either of these rooks because this knight is so powerfully guarding these. Like you look at this knight as if it's powerful right now. The game actually called this an inaccuracy, a significant inaccuracy. when I put it in the reviews. Um, and you'll see the top move is A1 for the reasons you just saw. But it isn't an accuracy on first glance, and to what I would say a very beginner player, it looks like a powerful knight move because it's guarding some key squares right here. And but it's really not a great move at all. But see again, an intermediate player is looking at this and going, "Oh man, he's guarding these squares. I can't move my rooks right there." But see, that's the thing. He's only looking at the game at one layer, and he's not looking ahead. He's not realizing that if you check him right there, you give up that rook, that removes the knight from defending this square right here, so that then you can mate him on that move. You give up a rook so that you can go for the mate right there, and that was just for me. I was just like, "Oh yes, man. Oh, that game was just all perfect." So, it was the game called it when it kind of gave its own comments, the AI of the engine said it was a competitive game. I thought I was in pretty much control most of the entire game for this one. Wasn't really in trouble. Things really went bad for White when that rook lost a rook at the beginning of the game. And at this point, I got pretty much center control. He's not really controlling much. He's going after a knight that's really not of any significance to anybody. Um, and so it really is at this point. It didn't have to be this way completely. Like White could have made better moves that would have made the game harder for me, and but it is what it is. That's kind of how the game turned out, and I'm very happy with the way I played. The game gave me 80 something percent, so I hit once again 80% ratings or accuracy on how I played the game, and so I was very very happy with that. But I'm going to call that one. So it's just a cool game, a cool lesson learned right there on making proper sacrifices in order to win the game.